Let's start at the beginning. WordPress, there's two different options that you have for WordPress. Again, WordPress is an open source platform, so it's free. It doesn't cost any money. And you can download it, install it on your server, and create your own website without paying anyone a penny. Now, it's tricky, right? That's why people like me, I can help install it for a fee, and Lee can help do some really neat stuff on there as well. And we do that as part of our business. But the fact is, you can learn it yourself, and it is free. It just might take you a little bit of time to get used to it all. But let's talk about the two options. The first is WordPress.com. Okay, now WordPress.com, if you set up a blog, and by the way, I mean, you can literally go to WordPress.com and click Start a Blog, and it's really easy, and you can have a blog up and running in probably less than 3 minutes. I mean, seriously. And if you know how to use a toaster, I mean, it'll be okay. Okay, my mom could do it. Okay, and if you knew my mom, but your blog is going to be myblog.wordpress.com. Okay, as opposed to myblog.com. Does that make sense? It's going to be myblog.wordpress.com. So the myblog is going to replace the www of a usual website name. Okay, so some people like that, some people don't. Now, it's worth mentioning that you can map the domain so that you can put in www.myblog.com and it'll go to your WordPress.com website. But the fact is, it's still on the WordPress server, not your own. Now, if you're not techie and you don't really know what that means, don't worry about it. I just want to let you know there's two different ways to go. In one case, the website is on the WordPress server. And in the other case, it's on your server. And there are some differences, and I'll get to that in just a second. Okay? So WordPress.com is the first option. WordPress.org is the second. Okay? If you go to WordPress.org, you can download all the files. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And you literally just click there, and you download the whole thing as a zip file, and you've got the entire WordPress infrastructure on your desktop. Okay? And then you can install it on your own server. Okay? If you did that, your website address would be myblog.com because it would be on your server. So it doesn't have to point to the WordPress server. Okay, so again, if you don't know exactly the implications of that, don't worry about it. Just know that there's a distinction between the two. Okay? Okay, so the installation process, what I'm going to talk about is the WordPress.org, where you download the files and install it on your own server. Okay, that's what I did. It's what I recommend you do. Okay, and again, I have some reasons which I'll tell you about in just a second. But that's primarily what I'm going to be talking about. And there's really just 3 steps. Okay, I mean, the first step is before this. The first step is just downloading the files. So once you've downloaded the files, the first thing you have to do is create a MySQL database. Okay, it's starting to sound techie for some of you, right? And some of you are very comfortable with this kind of process, and for some people you're like, I don't know what that means. I'm just going to keep talking about it because I want you to know there's 3 steps. The specifics of what each one is less important. The fact is, it's not that hard. And if you didn't know how to do it, you could find someone like Lee or like me or someone on Craigslist to do it for you really easily. Okay? So the first thing you have to do is set up your MySQL database. The second thing is you have to take those files that you downloaded and put them into the server. Okay? And FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. It doesn't matter really what that is, but the point is you're just moving the files from your computer into your hosting account. Okay, so that's step number 2. And step number 3 is you have to connect the database you created and the files you just installed. And that's it. Okay? It's not that hard. It doesn't have to be that hard. And for me to go through like what's in the config file, okay, the config file is what connects the files to the database. That's not what this presentation is about, because there's instructions online. You can look at it yourself, or you can get someone to do it for cheap. You can get me to do it, you can get Lee to help you. But just know that it's not a huge process. So if you wanted to tackle it, you could probably allocate a couple hours, figure it out, and do it yourself. And then you'd feel really good about it afterwards, just like I did. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of the hosting plans that are out there, and when I say hosting can cost you anywhere from $6 a month up to maybe $20 a month on the high end. But they're pretty cheap. you can get an economy plan for $5.99 a month. Okay, it's really cheap. And a lot of those plans, this is one of them. Okay, like GoDaddy, for example, is a very well-known hosting plan, and there's a lot of others. They'll have one-click WordPress install. So you can literally go into the back end and click install, and it'll do the work for you. Okay. So if you're looking to create a WordPress blog and you want to try and do this yourself, look for a hosting plan that has one-click WordPress installation. Now, by the way, it's not actually one click. It walks you through, right? I mean, you click to get it started, then it asks you some information, but it's pretty easy. Okay, it's pretty easy. So maybe not a toaster, but if you know how to use a dishwasher, you're good. You're good. So just so you know, that's available. And I wish I would have known that when I started it, but even the other way was pretty easy. Once you've installed WordPress, there's a couple things you want to do just to get the thing started. So the first is, what do you want your blog to look like? And WordPress has a huge list of themes. So you can pick whatever you want your WordPress site to look like. There's all kinds of different, you can have 2 columns or 3 columns, different color palettes, different ways that the menu bars are done. There's a ton of different themes, and if you just put WordPress themes into Google, it'll bring it right up, and when you do, you just click on it. This is what it looks like, and this is the WordPress themes directory. Okay, and right now, you probably can't all read it, but it says there's 592 themes that you can pick from. They're all free. Right? None of this costs any money. Where open source means, like Linux is an operating system that's open source. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And there's a lot of stuff like this. Audacity is a recording software that's open source. It's free. OpenOffice is a software package that competes with Microsoft Office, and it's open source and it's free. There's a lot of this stuff out there, and there's more and more every day. And WordPress is one example, and these people just like me and other people create themes, and then they put them up in the directory so that other people can download them. So there's tons. And they refresh this all the time. Okay. So that's the first thing you want to do, is figure out what you want it to look like. And the second thing you want to